In a scene reminiscent of the most tumultuous moments in modern history, an estimated 3,000 military veterans and their supporters have taken to the streets of London in a stunning display of outrage directed squarely at Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. The catalyst for this unprecedented protest? Allegations that the Duke and Duchess of Sussex have made a series of exorbitant and seemingly tone-deaf demands in their negotiations to continue their involvement with the Invictus Games, the very event Harry founded to honor and support wounded, injured, and sick servicemen and women. As the massive crowd converged on the streets surrounding Buckingham Palace, a deafening roar of anger and disbelief echoed through the air, punctuated by chants of "Shame on Sussex" and "Betrayal of the Brave." The visceral fury on display was palpable, as men and women who had sacrificed life and limb for their country voiced their collective disgust at the perceived betrayal by the royal couple they had once embraced as champions of their cause. "It's a slap in the face to every veteran who has ever put on the uniform," growled former Corporal James Wilkins, his face etched with a mixture of fury and disappointment. The Invictus Games were supposed to be a beacon of hope, a celebration of our resilience and indomitable spirit. But now, it seems like it's just another bargaining chip for Harry and Meghan to leverage for their own selfish gain. At the heart of the controversy lies a series of leaked demands allegedly made by the Sussex's legal team during tense negotiations with the Invictus Games Foundation and Buckingham Palace. Among the most contentious requests are reported demands for a lavish private residence in central London, complete with a staff of personal attendants and a fleet of luxury vehicles at their disposal during any future Invictus Games events. Additionally, sources suggest that Harry and Meghan have sought to renegotiate their existing financial arrangements, pushing for a substantial increase in their appearance fees and a greater share of the event's commercial revenue streams. "It's utterly unconscionable," fumed retired Sergeant Emily Barnes, her voice trembling with indignation. "These men and women have given everything for their countries, and now they're being asked to stand by and watch as Harry and Meghan try to bleed the Invictus Games dry for their own personal gain. It's a disgraceful display of greed and entitlement." As the protests swelled in size and intensity, a phalanx of former servicemen and women took to the makeshift stage that had been erected in the heart of the demonstration, each sharing their own stories of sacrifice and their disillusionment with the royal couple's alleged conduct. "I lost both my legs in an IED blast in Afghanistan," recounted former Private Michael Dawson, his prosthetic limbs a stark reminder of the cost of his service. "But the Invictus Games gave me a reason to keep fighting, to prove that I was still a warrior capable of overcoming any obstacle." Dawson's voice grew thick with emotion as he continued, "To see Harry and Meghan treat that legacy with such blatant disregard, to try and profit off the blood, sweat, and tears of men and women like me, it's a betrayal of the highest order." As the impassioned speeches unfolded, the crowd erupted in thunderous applause and chants of solidarity, their anger fueled by a shared sense of outrage and a deep-seated belief that the Invictus Games had been irreparably tarnished by the Duke and Duchess's alleged actions. The Invictus Games were supposed to be a shining example of what can be achieved when we come together in service of a greater cause, declared retired Colonel Margaret Weston, her chest adorned with an array of hard-earned medals. But now, thanks to Harry and Meghan's greed, that noble mission has been reduced to a mere bargaining chip, a tool for them to leverage their own fame and fortune. Weston's words struck a chord with the assembled masses, many of whom had traveled from across the United Kingdom and beyond to lend their voices to the growing chorus of dissent. "I came all the way from Glasgow to be here today," said former Corporal Ian Mackenzie, his thick Scottish brogue betraying the depth of his outrage. "Because this isn't just about the Invictus Games anymore, it's about standing up for the values and principles that make our military service worthwhile in the first place." As the protest stretched into its third hour, the crowds showed no signs of dissipating, their collective anger fueled by a growing sense of betrayal and a determination to hold the Duke and Duchess accountable for their alleged transgressions. "We're not going anywhere until our voices are heard," declared retired Sergeant Samantha Wilson, her fist raised defiantly in the air. "Harry and Meghan need to understand that they're not just disrespecting the Invictus Games, they're disrespecting every man and woman who has ever put their life on the line in service of their country." As the sun began to set over the sprawling demonstration, a palpable sense of unity and resolve had taken hold, with veterans from all branches of the military and all walks of life standing shoulder to shoulder in a powerful display of solidarity. Today, "We are all one family, united by a common cause," proclaimed former Corporal Wilkins, his voice booming across the hushed crowd. "And that cause is to defend the honor and integrity of the Invictus Games, to protect the very ideals that Harry and Meghan have so callously trampled upon." With those words, a deafening roar of approval swept through the assembled masses, a resounding affirmation that the battle to safeguard the legacy of the Invictus Games was far from over. As night fell and the protesters began to disperse, one thing was abundantly clear: the veterans of this historic demonstration had drawn a line in the sand, and they would not rest until their voices were heard and their demands for accountability were met. In the days and weeks that followed, the fallout from the protest would reverberate far beyond the streets of London, igniting a firestorm of controversy and reigniting the long-simmering debate over the role and relevance of the British monarchy in the modern age. For Harry and Meghan, the path forward was fraught with uncertainty, as they found themselves facing a groundswell of public outrage and a growing chorus of voices demanding that they either recant their alleged demands or sever ties with the Invictus Games altogether. Meanwhile, the veterans who had taken to the streets remained resolute in their determination to defend the integrity of the event they held so dear, vowing to continue their fight until the Invictus Games were once again restored to their rightful place as a beacon of hope and resilience, untainted by the specter of greed and entitlement. As the dust settled on this seismic clash of wills, one thing became abundantly clear: the battle for the soul of the Invictus Games had only just begun, and the outcome would have far-reaching consequences that would reverberate across the globe, shaping the very future of one of the world's most beloved and inspiring events.